You see it right there. It's happened once before, but could it happen on an even bigger stage? The Young Bucks are teasing a dream rematch with the Hardy Boys. Could that be coming soon? Plus, we have news of a WWE main roster rookie calling out John Cena, not just calling him out, but wanting to retire him. That's right, Austin Theory. Plus, a dangerous scene in an independent wrestling event with a referee being assaulted in the ring, something that definitely stepped outside of the script. We'll get into all of it on today's top story of the day from Sportskeeda. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! How are you? I am Kev Kelm. That is Jose G in Florida, a state that is shaped like a certain part of the male anatomy. I'll let you guess. what that is. Jose, I know we have to do the dumb jokes early because there's some serious stuff in this. There's some interesting things in it.
Sure
Eventful
is.
weekend in wrestling. For those of you joining us on a Monday. If you haven't done already, go ahead and subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling. We are making that march towards 24,000 subs. Could we somehow get near within shooting distance of 25 before the end of the year?
I sure hope so.
I sure hope so. Let's get into this leadoff story here. The Hardy Boys now are in a potential situation after Jeff Hardy's unceremonious release from WWE last week following an incident the week prior at a live event where he seemed to be just having a rough night in the ring, and he left the match. Now you have Matt Hardy making cryptic tweets saying that Jeff's all right and that there's more to this. There's been some allusions by some broadcast personalities who would know these things. I won't say who they are, that say there's more to the story, but they can't confirm any of it. And, the report was that Jeff Hardy there on the far left was released from WWE when he refused rehab treatment. Now, Jeff has a public documented history with substance abuse and different issues that have affected his career and, more importantly, his life. So those things aside, okay, we need to put those things aside. You now have Matt Hardy, going on Twitter, kind of poking the bear there of a Hardy Boys reunion. And he said it more than once that he wants to do it before he's done. Mm-hmm. And now you have the Young Bucks posting all of the clips from 2017 when the Hardy Boys got to have a dream match with the Young Bucks. And this was the night before WrestleMania that year where, of course, they returned, where the Hardy Boys returned. And they went full force. They did a ladder match against the Young Bucks, dream match, right? And that was for Ring of Honor at the time. And now they're posting all those clips. And now those two guys are signed with AEW for the formidable future. So is Matt Hardy. And Jeff Hardy is available come March 2022. So what say you, Jose?
I think this is very interesting that all this is happening. The Bucks are, notoriously known for putting stuff on social media, either be on their location, on their profile, or just a little hint on their cover. They always do little things to spike up the interest, right, of the internet wrestling community. And they do it to the teat. And we've seen this, 4 years ago. It was at a much lesser scale. I think we are due if Jeff ends up doing, maybe if it's a one-off. If it's a one-off, I'm okay with it. Jeff doesn't necessarily have to be a regular on AEW. But if we can get this tag team dream match at least one time, say maybe Double or Nothing next year, Jeff Hardy will be nice and clear from that 90-day non-compete clause. Mm-hmm. I think this is something that we could probably see happening early summer, late spring next year.
It'll certainly be interesting. Sound off if you're with us live. Let us know what you think of this developing story. Go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe as well if you haven't done it. And let us know what you think here. Hit the like button if you're into this idea. If you don't want to jump into the comments, just hit the like button if you're into the idea of Hardys versus the Bucks. I can see how many of you are watching, so definitely don't not press a button.
Quick question for you. Since the Young Bucks, posted all this Ring of Honor stuff, huge Ring of Honor news over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Adam Scherr, Braun Strowman, formerly known as Braun Strowman in WWE, made his way into Final Battle with EC3's faction. Control your narrative. What did you think of Adam Scherr showing up over there at the Final Battle?
I have not been able to watch Final Battle. It's been something I've been wanting to do. I might be able to try and sneak that in here, maybe double screen it here with Raw tonight at some point. I have a live comedy show I have to do at like 7 p.m. Central too, by the way, from here on Zoom. So all that link, by the way, on my Twitter.
Entertainment.
If you want to watch that during the commercials or whatever during Raw, I'll have the link up on my Twitter. Yeah, I'm going head to head with Raw, dude. Whatever. No, I'm trying to catch up on it. And there was a lot of people who addressed this. Bobby Cruz was on Sirius XM today, the ring announcer of Ring of Honor. And this is their send-off. This is Ring of Honor's kind of, finality. And they have said it many, many times. They will relaunch in April during WrestleMania week. They have not announced the specifics of that event, but it will be Supercard of Honor. That's what the reported details are. And the promotion will essentially revert back to what it was kind of pre-Sinclair buying. And Sinclair will still own it. It'll still have a weekly television show syndicated across the country, but not the same type of footprint as a cable television channel. And all these different things. Now, they have this pay-per-view, though. Very eventful. A lot of people show up. Jay Lethal, who's signed to AEW now, who's with Ring of Honor for a long time, showed up. You had Deonna Purrazzo from Impact Wrestling show up on the show. And then you also FTR had something with the Briscoes. There was a lot of people trying things out here and moving angles that will definitely be played out somewhere else. Deonna Purrazzo faced off with the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Roxy. Well, does that mean we get to see that match in Impact? FTR faced off with the Briscoes. Does that mean we get to see that match in AEW? I mean, there's things that were teased here that I don't know if that means we're going to see them in April in Ring of Honor with all those people from.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the situation is going to be because with that report that they put out a few months ago, a little bit over a month, Sinclair was in a lot of debt. So I don't know where Ring of Honor stands under all of this. We're just going to have to see in April.
Mm-hmm. Some people in the chat just want to see Braun back in WWE. Well, who knows? It will happen here. And other people want to see that Hardy Boys versus Young Buck match at WrestleMania. I hope that happens. Well, I don't know if that'll happen with either one of those guys, but it would be something else. And then other people say it's best if Jeff just retires or goes becoming a part-timer. You can't determine that for other people. There's still so much about this scenario with Jeff being released that we don't know. I know a lot of people widely just make assumptions and stuff like that too. And it's certainly interesting. Ring of Honor was the talk of the wrestling weekend, despite whether or not people will support that or not. They were the talk of the wrestling weekend. And I know there's some people that are just like, just be done with it. I just want to like AEW. And they set themselves up for this. I know there's a lot of bitter feelings online about people about this. And then there are other people like, I've been with Ring of Honor the whole time and this is just a bummer. I think it was a majority of it. A lot of people were kind of upset that it was just not going to be there anymore. So
yeah, I've have some friends that are really hardcore Ring of Honor guys. And they have not been very happy with the product in the last couple of years, I would say. And they've just been comparing it to I've really never been a hardcore Ring of Honor watcher myself. Yeah. However, the guys that watched it from, 9-10 years ago, they always say the same thing. It's it's not as good as it used to be. So a lot of them just stopped watching.
There's this other promotion that came up and kind of gutted their top level talent. And that isn't me putting that on AEW. That's just what happened. And I was not the only person that said that, but at the same time, AEW, sent in thank you videos from their top talent and then sent talent to this show at a lower level and certainly set some other things up for the talent that is there. What will Ring of Honor be moving forward? It is to be seen. But, Adam Shearer, formerly known as Braun Strowman, showing up. I know a lot of mainstream wrestling fans want to know about him. He looked great. Looked really, really good here. He has wrestled some matches. He did Blizzard Brawl up in Wisconsin a week or two ago. And he also wrestled on the Control Your Narrative show, which was done by EC3 direct to the audience. Almost like a Patreon wrestling show is the best description of it. And he's looked great. He stayed in great shape, done some other things. He has negotiated with Impact Wrestling. We don't know when that trigger will be pulled, if it does get pulled at all. Or if we see more of EC3 and, him somewhere. We know they're friends. It's well documented, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I think
he's live here in Orlando, so yeah, they're here all the time. They're around the corner all the time.
So certainly an interesting scenario to see play out here. Austin Theory, he was on the Alternative Sports podcast. Am I saying this correctly?
Yep, that's right.
And he had some interesting things to say. He was talking about his current status. He's performing in recent on-camera segments you see there with Vince McMahon following this ridiculous stolen golden egg segment. And he kind of has to sit under the learning tree of Vince McMahon. Quite the position to be in when you get to perform on screen with Vince McMahon.
Absolutely.
Especially at that age. And he said some bold things like he wants to retire John Cena at WrestleMania. What a thing to say. Not just anything, but that he wants to retire John Cena.
Well, it was interesting, because during the interview on the podcast, he was asked about would he rather tag with John Cena and go for the tag team championships,
Mm-hmm.
or have the option of retiring. And he was like, man, I want to retire him. I have to do it, man. It was nice and short and sweet. But if anyone has the caliber to do something like this, I think Austin Theory could do it. He's young enough. Vince McMahon apparently likes him. He's been doing stuff backstage with him now for 2 weeks in a row, maybe 3 with tonight. Who knows? When Vince is on TV, that's usually a good night. It's been good. Anytime when Vince is on Raw, I think it's good. Austin Theory is a hell of a character, and I think he could be the one to retire John Cena if that happens.
I think this is just Theory kind of trying to make some noise,
but still, it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see for sure. To me, it just comes off as a guy trying to make noise. Doesn't want to do an interview that people aren't talking about, which is fine. I don't mind that. Certainly interesting there. Certainly interesting.
You know what? His goal has been achieved because we're talking about it.
True.
We're talking about it, and I think a lot of people will look at someone. I've been following Austin Theory now for a while. I've been watching him since WWN days, Evolve, really, really early stuff. Mm-hmm. And this guy has it, dude. And when you look at Austin Theory, yeah, he may come off as cocky and whatever, but the guy can go. The guy knows what he's doing. And I think Vince McMahon generally does see something in him. So we'll see. I don't know. Thank God he hasn't named him the next chosen one, because if he does that, then
you're cursed.
You're cursed. So don't say anything, Vince McMahon.
And you have to go to Impact Wrestling to break your curse.
For real.
Let's get into this unfortunate story here. I know you have more information about this. I learned about this later today. I guess this happened on Saturday, but it really just became more of a story today, involving a very violent scene that kind of gotten out of control at a world-class pro wrestling event. There was a family wrestling event. It's worth noting for that because it got very, very ugly and very, very brutal here. What happened with a referee being assaulted with a spike by a popular internet wrestling personality, Hannibal, who's also a wrestler himself here. And you can see the image of it there. Just a little bit of a warning there. He was assaulted pretty brutally. This referee is now starting a GoFundMe for his surgery. He had pictures of that. I don't know if we need to share any of that, but that's up online. And he had staples in his head because of this. Now, it's worth noting that this was reportedly a part of a post-match thing. But Hannibal had choked him out, and he was not conscious to blade himself. For people who don't know, wrestlers will cut themselves to blade, but that is the reported word going around here. Hannibal, no statement on this yet, but still active on his YouTube about other things with other wrestlers, which is odd. Mm-hmm. And this has already affected Hannibal moving forward. He's being affected on this possibly with booking and different events. So what an awful thing.
It is a very awful thing, man. So this was actually an event that was going down over the weekend where Hannibal, also known as Devin Nicholson, was going up against Carlitos Caribbean Cool, who's now known in the independent scene as Carly Colon. So they were having a match, and referee Lando Del Toro was being stabbed. Now, this was supposed to be a spot, but the spot got taken way out of hand. And apparently the spot caused legitimate injuries, severing one of his arteries in his head, and he had to get multiple stitches done at the hospital. Del Toro's doing well. He posted some pictures on Twitter, but they did launch a GoFundMe account, which is right over here, and those are the post pictures of the sealing up the wounds. As you can see, this was just a few hours ago. Right now, the GoFundMe is up to about $3,600. If you guys want to help out with his expenses, I will drop a link in the comments for you guys. Mm-hmm. If you guys want to go ahead and show some support. But yeah, man, you're right. Also about Hannibal, there's been a lot of call to action for some people to react to what's going on with Hannibal. And this is not the first thing. Apparently, there's been some situations with sexual assault. There's been some situations of legit injuries going on during events, and he's been reckless, and people are just complaining about him left and right. And I think he's going to feel the backlash this time.
Especially in the independent level, he will feel backlash on this and see how these things go. It's worth noting this information was put on the internet by another referee working the show. So that initially launched the kind of the backlash of this. And it's worth noting, Del Toro tweeted, "This is the ref." This Del Toro is the one who put this one out here. This is the ref that got stabbed. I can tell you, it was a spot that went off the rail. So this was planned, as we noted here, but it just kind of got out of control. It's worth noting, an ambulance and police were called because of this. So that really affects the wrestling event as well. It's worth noting the promoter involved as well has already said that they will do a charity show just to help this person here. And from what I'm hearing, he was not a safe worker, and now I have firsthand knowledge, but I am okay and recovering. So certainly, wrestling, you get in there, and the referees are affected by all this. This is a guy who may not be able to referee again, may not be able to do other things in his life and live a comfortable life. And now he's going to be scarred, for the rest of his life. Just at that's too much as it is.
We got some breaking news here. Alan Reed on YouTube said he just made a statement about it a few minutes ago on his YouTube. So we'll check that out and follow up with you guys.
I would say, don't go look at it on his YouTube. I would say just wait for somebody to report that for you.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, so we'll check it out, but we'll follow up on it as we get more development on it. But a very sad situation, man. Sometimes these things happen, and in this case, it could really severely injured him to a further extent. Thank God it wasn't worse, right? But man, still, that's not going to be a cheap hospital bill.
Some little odds and ends here. WWE SmackDown ratings came in. They are up 5% from the week prior, scoring at 2.142 million viewers overnight. That is just an overnight viewer. That's confirmed by Nielsen and WrestleNomics. Pretty impressive number here. They're down a little bit in the 18 to 49 demo, but that is a wide demo. They're up in other areas and performed very, very well. Considering that you had Brock Lesnar in the show, you debuted a new character, and this was from Los Angeles as well. I think that's also worth noting here. So this is certainly going to be interesting. SmackDown continues to be the most watched show in professional wrestling at the moment. Also, some changes to tonight's Monday Night Raw. We were supposed to get the Arcade Bronament final with Street Profits versus the Mysterios. Apparently, WWE, just putting this out here within the last hour, that match will not happen due to injuries, but it will be delayed. So we will get that. The only thing confirmed for tonight's show is Bobby Lashley addressing the whole situation where he attacked all three members of the main event for the day one pay-per-view. WWE champion Big E, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins. So we'll see something with that. I think Raw needs to do something a little bit more exciting. They're really riding that main event angle going into day one. SmackDown is certainly a little bit more compelling right now across the board.
Can you smell it in the air, Kevin? Can you smell it?
Smell what?
You smell the fatal four-way that we're about to get at day one?
That's kind of obvious, right? Alex saying, Bobby should be added to the match. Yeah, definitely here. That would be certainly interesting here. Other people like Mr. James Espanto Fernando Tagay saying that the Canadian alpha male Brock Lesnar, big part of Monday Night Raw, or SmackDown, having a presence here. Other people with different takes here.
You want to go hunting some mooses? You want to go hunt some mooses up in Saskatchewan?
With his bare hands. He's going to suplex a moose. He's going to suplex
skin him alive. I'm going to skin him alive with my bare hands.
It is certainly an interesting time here. I don't want to say WWE's in a holding pattern until we get to the final weeks here. But, we have the holidays coming up. Some things are going to slow down. It's worth noting WWE going to be doing a double taping of SmackDown in Chicago this Friday. So the SmackDown that will air that week later with the Christmas holiday, that will be a tape show, both of them at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago. And I can't go, even though I'm in Chicago.
You can't go.
I'm gonna be on the Comedy Road, the Cheddar Comedy Road binge 2-night run here with Chris Damon. We're gonna be in Wauwatosa at the Stockhouse Brewing Company, and then Saturday night I will be at Twofers in Eden, Wisconsin. This Thursday I'll be in Eden. Cary, Illinois. I just got that booking like a few hours ago. So I'm going to be busy doing the comedy thing. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be doing the wrestling thing. We're going to be doing a lot of that. We're going to be doing a lot of talking here. I know you're busy, buddy. What do you got going on?
I'm always busy here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling Channel. As always, you guys can catch me every afternoon here on the Top Story, every day on the News Roundup, and you can catch me every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on our Weekends of Wrestling show every Thursday night on Facebook Live and on YouTube. So go ahead and give me a follow on my socials on Instagram at Jose G Official.
Thank you guys so much for supporting. If you haven't done already, go ahead and tag some friends in the comments below. If you're with us on YouTube, go ahead and get into the YouTube comments. If you're just watching on demand, let us know what you think. You're still a part of this whole thing. I know it's a very interactive show. We are here every Monday through Friday at this time, right in the 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern hour, and we have a very, very, very special guest tomorrow on Top Story. Usually we don't have guests on Top Story. We just kind of cover the
very,
stories.
very special. You guys want to tune in on that one.
Can I say who it is?
Yes, you can. Yes, you may.
I didn't know. Yes, I didn't know if I want to do that. Especially if you're a follower of Top Story here with Sportskeeda, we will be talking to legendary wrestling journalists. The reason that APTER mags are a thing, all the famous wrestling magazines, one of the best guys who's ever covered wrestling for well over 30 decades. Bill Apter will be with us tomorrow, covering the top stories in the world of wrestling. It'll be interesting to speak with him and get his perspective, his wizardry perspective of wrestling, and he'll cast some spells with you. So that'll be really, really cool. So definitely check that out tomorrow. We'll be doing it. We have a set time for that show, by the way. That'll be 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. So 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. Definitely check that out and make sure your notifications are on, especially if you want to catch our shows as they're live. You're going to be in the mix while it's live. Make sure you are
Should be a good show tomorrow, man. I'm excited to talk to Bill. I've never met him or spoken to him, so this is going to be a first for me, getting my Bill Apter cherry popped.
There you go. It's going to be absolutely delightful. Quite the guy to talk to. A fun, heartwarming goofball of a man who understands how wild and crazy wrestling is here. People saying he was great on Smack Talk on Friday. Yes, he was in the most recent episode of Smack Talk. More plugs. Go ahead and get us on the podcast machine as well. Spotify and Apple. Thank you for putting us on the charts in the United States, Canada, Australia, and other countries. We really, really appreciate that. All of our content on our video channel will drop on there. Oh, and by the way, you got that championship behind you, right?
Right there.
Right there?
That's mine. That's mine.
If you're going to go big, you better go big. Big E will be on Sportskeeda Wrestling later this week. We'll be talking to him.
Nice. Congratulations.
Just got confirmation on that over the weekend. So that's going to be really, really awesome.
So the Keeda is about to get even bigger.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting. Thank you guys so much for checking everything out here on the channel. If you aren't done it, go check out our other channel as well. If you just want to check out Top 5s, it's called Wrestle Binge. There you go. I got all my plugs in. I didn't forget any of my plugs. Pretty sweet stuff. Thank you guys so much for checking everything out. Remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, which is what, Jose G?
You must enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling, guys.